So we have our template. It is ready to go to create our doll size hat. And what we're going to use next is a little bit of a black fiber bat. You can use roving or top if you wish. I'm choosing to use a fiber bat so that I can make this process go just that much quicker. And because for me, Halloween is always about purples and blacks, I've got some purple silks that I'm going to add on here. So this is a pretty good thickness of a fiber bat here. And we're talking far less than an ounce that you're going to need per side. And I just want to take and sort of measure out all the way around so that I have a piece of this bat that is not going to give me a whole lot of leftover fibers. I want to pull it down so that it's hitting as close to the template as I can. All right, that's pretty good. Now I want to take another piece of this fiber bat and I'm going to make a second piece. Let's move this out of the way. Bring this over here, and this one, I want to get this almost right next to where this template ends. Because if there's going to be fiber rolling around over the edge, I only want it to come over the edge on one side. And so I'm going to take this, and I'm just holding the edge of the template really close in my hand while I pull the excess fibers off with my other hand. And the first side of the fiber bat has a lot of overlay. This side does not. Let me show you how this is different here. See, we've got that. It's got a fair amount of overlay, and this one is pretty much just going to fit right on top. So it should give us a nice even piece all the way around. Now on your table, you're going to probably want to have a towel. I'm going to recommend that we use the this really cool method that I have discovered this year, utilizing this very, very thin plastic painter's tarp. And this is going to give us the ability to create a vacuum around the fiber package. So we'll have the fiber, wetted fiber down, we'll have our template, we'll fold those edges over of the fiber, and then we'll add the top piece. We'll make sure everything's nice and smooth. We'll add our embellishments, and then we will vacuum seal it in between these two pieces of plastic, and then we'll do some flicking action. So first thing we need to do, we need to get this wet. Now I could dunk this whole thing into the water, but because it's a larger piece, I'm going to go ahead and just use my ball brows. You can use any kind of squirt bottle or anything that you've got, and then you're just going to press that moisture all the way through. Make sure you have another piece of toweling handy, and then we're just going to wrap the excess fiber all the way around our template, noticing which sides are a little on the shy side as far as the fiber goes. And then we're going to add this second piece. And because I've got a lot thicker edge on this side and it's a lot thinner on this side, I'm just offsetting this a tiny bit. I want to go this way so that those areas are going to come over the edge on this side. To make sure that we've got a nice even coverage. And I'm gently going to work the edges over very carefully. You can certainly wear gloves at this point. Always have your, got to take off my ring because it usually falls off about now. Always have a bar of soap handy so that you can soap up the fibers as you're pressing the liquid all the way throughout the entire fiber package. And then we are just folding and wrapping all of the edges around our template here. We just want it to be as smooth as we can get it, but mostly what we're doing is making sure that we've got plenty of moisture and plenty of soap in our project here. Because soap is what does the magic, and it can't do the magic it needs to do without moisture. And then once I've got one side done, I'm going to flip it over, make sure that I've got everything smoothed over. All the edges look nice and smooth, and they feel nice and even. I'm going to soap up this side as well. Even though my water is soapy water, I always have extra soap on hand that I can put on my hands to directly apply to a fiber project that I'm working on. Because oftentimes you'll find that one area is just not looking like it's getting soap. There we go. All right, that's looking good. Let me dry my hands a little bit. Can't dry them completely, but I can get the excess off so that my hands are just damp. Now I want to apply our fun fibers. Now I have 3 different fibers here. I have some Firestar, I have some silk, and I have some recycled sari silk. And I'm going to use a little bit of all of these on both sides. But I want to just split them up into 2 different piles so that I can decorate both sides of my hat here fairly evenly. Now, all of these fibers are going to be very tricky to work with. That's another reason to have plenty of water and soap on your fiber package, because that liquid will help grab hold of those fibers a little easier and make it possible for you to just play with the fibers, because you can press it down and then you can just sort of tap those in and let them be part of the design. Now I've got one more fiber to add, and then I'll flip this over and we'll decorate the other side. Fibers do like to stick, but that is part of the beauty of working with them. And I love that I'm using 3 different types of fibers here, because they're all going to give a slightly different appearance in the final project, and they layer nicely with one another. All right, I'm going to lift it up carefully and flip it over, and then work these edges of the embellishment fibers right up along the sides. And now in the same pattern, I'm laying down first the recycled sari silk. Then I'm going to lay out the Firestar. Oh, the recycled sari silk just doesn't want to let go. That happens sometimes. Next we have the Firestar. Just gives a little bit of sparkle, a little bit of shimmer. And it can be thick or thin. It's totally up to you and your aesthetic. Dry my hands off and get the last of the silk here. And this time I'm just gonna sort of tease the silk out and let it just sort of play randomly all over these other fibers. Now, to get these to grab hold, I am going to take the plastic and I'm going to put the top edge over it. We're not vacuum sealing it as of yet, but I am using the plastic to help us wet down those fibers on both sides and get them nice and soaked and juicy. Because juicy is always good, right? Okay, so take a look. I'm going to lift this up very, very carefully because I don't want to dislodge any fibers, but I do need to take a look at the edges because we do have a couple of edges that need to be tucked around the corners so that it looks seamless. That's our goal here. All right, and that is done. So now it's time for us to lock in this vacuum sealed package. It's gonna get a little tricky for a moment and then it won't be tricky anymore. Okay, so when it's wet, you can see the vacuum sealing happens pretty quickly, but it doesn't happen by itself. Sometimes you're going to need to take and you're going to need to draft out all of the air. Now you can do this with a pool noodle, you can do this with a rolling pin, any way you need to manipulate this. Here's another reason why we've got the toweling underneath, because we want to get all of the air out of this package so that we've got nothing but the fibers, the moisture, and the soap sitting right in there. And if you've got some areas that seem to be a little bit troublesome, you can take just a towel and just sort of roll it over the area to sort of roll that air right on out. And when you've got a towel underneath, any moisture that you displace will just be deposited onto that towel underneath your plastic. But rolling is the best way to make sure you've got a nice, perfect vacuum seal. And there we go. We're ready for the next stage.